Hi, everybody. I'm telling a few stories again today. My next video is going to be on manifestation and how to create, how to bring things into manifest. There's a cat on my lap wanting a lot of attention. It's Cowboy. He needs attention. Anyway, I'm going to tell you some stories about some interesting things that I had happen or witnessed in Utah. And this is quite some time ago because I lived in New York for 20 years and I'm here in Phoenix. So it was a while ago, but I think they're pretty interesting stories, so I hope you enjoy them. So my first story has to do with the Hotel Utah. It's in downtown Salt Lake City. I believe the building belongs to the Mormon Church. I'm pretty sure it does. And it's not a hotel anymore, but it was then. It's kind of a very grand, regal hotel. And me and my friend Roger, who used to dance together in clubs, I belonged to a dance group in the early 80s. We danced at discos, did group dances and stuff. It was really fun. Anyway, Roger was a really fun, super fun guy and a good friend, and we would hang out. He was super psychic too, so we had some interesting experiences together. But anyway, so we were just goofing around. We had nothing to do. It was quiet. We decided, hey, let's go to the Hotel Utah. So we went to the Hotel Utah and went inside. And inside the building, the first thing, we walked into the building and we saw like these two balls of light, like about that big, just fly, one and then another, just fly right past us. White balls of light that looked like, hey, stop. White balls of light that had just a teeny bit of gold in it, but mostly white. Literally, inside the building, I was trying to play with my bracelets, fly past us. And there were not a lot of people in the building, so I don't think anyone else saw it but us, and we're like, whoa, what was that? Neither one of us had ever seen anything like it before, so we just thought, okay, well, we have to go further into the building and see what's going on. So we decided to get into the elevator. I think we only saw one getting into the elevator. There was some guy who walked by us. I mean, it was really quiet in there. So we got on the elevator. When we got on the elevator, the doors weren't closed yet. Another ball of light flew in through the elevator, like whoosh, again. And so we were like, whoa, what's going on? And we decided to go up to the top floor. I don't even remember what the top floor is in that building. It's not a really tall building. But it just had this eerie quietness to it, the whole building. And we're getting a little freaked out because we saw these kind of unusual things. So we decided, we got up to that top floor and went right back down and left the building. But we decided to kind of hang out and watch the building. So we were parked across the street in Roger's car, to see if we could see anything happening in some of the windows in some of those buildings. And there was some stuff. It seemed like there was some strange lights coming out of a couple of those rooms on the top floor, but who knows what it was. Anyway, just an interesting experience. But hey, if anyone has ever seen anything like that, please let me know. And these weren't like orbs. Sometimes you see orbs. I've seen orbs, like big orbs. But this was not that. This was a ball of light that moved through the air really, really quickly. Anyway, if you have any ideas what that is, or if you've seen anything like that, please tell me. Write it. Please leave a comment. I would love to hear about that. Okay, second experience. So, again, right around the same time period when I was in this dance group, had a lot of friends. I was hanging out with some friends up around 6 South and I can't remember how far north. But it was right where, close to the university, but not all the way up there. University of Utah. Anyway, we were hanging out all day with some good friends. And two brothers who I really loved a lot. Anyway, we're just hanging out casually. And that day, this is typical Utah weather, it had snowed all day, and then it turned into rain. So the streets were basically ice by that point. And so what happened was that when I decided to leave, it was around 1 a.m, and yeah, I had this little tiny Toyota truck, this tiny blue Toyota truck that was very front and top heavy and had nothing in the back. I decided to drive home. All of the roads were ice, just ice, and it was snowing very, very slightly again when I decided to go home. But, it was late, so I wanted to go home, which was probably about 8 miles or something. So I decided, okay, so I get in my car. I hadn't been drinking or anything. We were just hanging out. So I'm driving and going super, super slow because I know that the roads are super icy. And just around the corner, this is like 6th South. Now, 6th South used to be a one-way street. I don't think it is anymore. But so I went, it was the easiest way to get home. So I went on that street going west, and then I had to go south. So I was going west, and on that street, it goes kind of down. It's a hill. It goes down and around this curve, and it's definitely a cliff on that one side. It's a cliff. So I'm going down this road just the snail pace, at a snail's pace. I'm being super careful, super cautious. And at some point, the car starts fishtailing, or my little truck starts fishtailing, like pretty bad. And this has never happened to me before, and I'm like, oh, shit, what am I going to do? So, and I tried to put my foot on the brakes, and of course it made it worse. But I didn't know what else to do, because at that moment, I had no control of the car, like none. And I literally heard a voice say, a male voice outside of my head, and it said, "Don't do anything, take your hands off the wheel." And I kind of like, at those moments, really, really quickly, you assess the situation like lightning speed. I'm like, I had no option. So I just decided I'm going to follow those instructions. I took my hands off the wheel. I took my feet off of the brake or the gas, like just took my everything, like my feet and my hands, took them off. And knew that I could be going over that cliff, like within a second. And there was nothing I could do. And what happened was the car literally spun around by itself with me not doing anything, spun around 1.5 times. So one full revolution and then back. So the car actually ended up backwards in the wrong direction on the street. But there was no one on the street but me. So, but as it was happening, I'm like, okay, well, I really, again, have no control. And so whoever took over my car saved my life, basically. Because I was heading off the cliff, like straight down off the cliff with no control of the car. So the car stopped, and I just said, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh my God, thank you. And I really slowly turned my car back around and went even slower than I already was all the way home. Anyway, so I was saved by a guide, an angel, I don't know, but it was male. He had a male voice who said, "Don't do anything, take your hands off the wheel." Pretty cool experience. I'm here today to share it. Yeah. Anyway, and then one more story, Utah story. So, probably the most interesting one. Save the best for last. Anyway, this is all around the age of 21 years old. Yeah. And I was dating this guy, Larry, who's a little older than me. Anyway, so I'm not going to tell you all the details, but I ended up spending the night at his house. And it was a fun night. We were listening to band Heart, Crazy on You. Magic Man, all that stuff. Anyway, it was a fun night. There was somebody else there, another couple who we were kind of partying with earlier. Anyway, so I spent the night at his house. Anyway, the most interesting part. So somewhere around dawn in the morning, so I wake up and I sit up, and this is just as the light is, the morning light is filtering in through the shades. So this kind of golden light, a really pretty quiet morning. Anyway, I sit up and there is a being standing in front of me. Now, my eyes were fully open. Okay, I was seeing this, sitting up, fully awake, with my eyes open. And this being is standing there, and he is hovering kind of at the level of the bed. So his feet are at the level of the bed. He looks to me, and my impression was this is an angel, this is an angelic being. And it was a man. He was all white. He was almost all completely white. He had white hair, long white hair, beard and mustache, really, really long beard and mustache. Older, he looked older, and my other impression was that he kind of looked like Father Time, to try and give it a name. And he had robes on. He had white robes on, and I could see him so clearly that I could see the robes that the fabric, the cloth that his robes were made of were woven light, and I could see the woven light on the robes. I could see it that clearly, and I stared at him. I didn't think anything. I wasn't thinking, oh, look who's in front of me, an angelic being. How unusual. That part of my brain was not on. I was just staring at him and looking at him and really observing and taking it in. And taking in the presence of this being. And I didn't feel any sense of fear. I didn't feel any sense of awe or love. I just remember observing, but in a really clear and precise way. And he was glowing, but no wings. Anyway, so at some point I decided, okay, well, I'm just going to go lay down again. And so I laid down in the bed, closed my eyes. And that's when my thinking brain went, Lorina, what did you just see? And I sat straight up and looked, and of course he was gone. What do you think? Who do you think that was? Do you think it was an angel? Do you think that was a ascended master? Was it a guide? Anyway, for years I tried to figure out who this person was. And I went to a lot of psychics, some angelic communicators. They all said something different. One said, oh, that's Archangel Jophiel. And I got, everyone said something different. So I may never really know. But at some point I was talking to this woman, Dawn Qatar, who's a channeler. And I was at a workshop that she had, and I was describing this experience to her, and she said, oh, that sounds like Ascended Master Melchizedek, or Archangel, can't remember, I think he's Ascended Master Melchizedek. Yes, that's it. And she said, he looks like Father Time. And I just went, oh my God, that could be it. So that's the closest I've gotten to that answer. Anyway, but this was at a time when, man, my life, I was a mess. And I really mean that. I might describe that at some point in the future about how much of a mess I was, but it was not a good time period for me. So for me to have this experience, I think helped me to know that I really do have guides. I do have beings, higher level beings who are watching out for me and helping me, and I really needed help. So it was a really wonderful experience to have, and I have not seen him again in that capacity. Anyway, it's just an interesting experience. and a really cool one. So if you've had any experiences like that, please share them in the comments. I would love to hear that. And you could also give me your thoughts about who you think that is. You can tune in. Anyway, those are my short stories. I hope this doesn't last too long for today. Have a good day wherever you are in the world. And hey, we all have guides. We are all connected to these wonderful beings who do help us. I know I'm not the only person who has a story about somebody who helped save their life or who assisted them in some way in their life, or who actually had beings show up. I know I'm not the only one, so please, if you have anything to share about that, please do. And if you haven't had that experience, still know that they are there. We do have lots and lots and lots of help. Anyway, that's it. Have a really wonderful day. Oh, there we go. Bye for now.